Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Kirby's Dream Land 3. In the last part we cleared the second world I can't remember the name of, and now we're in the Sand Kingdom. The reason I can't actually remember is due to the fact that I actually haven't recorded a video in like a month, and that's mostly just because school is getting obnoxious with homework. Either way, we actually start right off in an area where the mission is. You might have noticed we saw the pink flowers from the first level earlier. Our mission here is to stomp on all of those, but leave the mushrooms entirely alone. I forget exactly how long in the level this mission goes on for, but just keep your eye out. Also, I may have brought it up before. I don't quite remember because, you know, time. But the burner ability, or fire as it is in this game, because fire and burner are one thing in this game, technically due to the buddy system, feels very weird to me because I can't exactly tell what causes me to stop moving when with it. Usually burner, if you just press the button, you don't go very far at R if you hold, at R at all. And if you hold down as long as you can, you go a distance. Whereas in here, it almost feels partially random. Also, we have some buddy selection here. It ultimately does not matter for this stage, so I'm just gonna take pitch because pitch burner is pretty good. Which, again, that's probably the weirdest thing about Pitch. He's one of the worst animal buddies, but also has some of the best abilities, just that they're pretty scarce in terms of use. Admittedly, though, this does go into something I don't think I actually mentioned about Dreamland 3 of my experience, and that's that this is only my second or third time getting 100% in this game. Most of the time when I play this, I just go through the stage normally and load up the extra thing you get for doing all the hard star missions. And it's not the only game I'm like that with, admittedly, because I don't very often go for the rainbow drops in 2 anymore. And in 1, I just go through the stage, not 1, Adventure / Nightmare in Dreamland, I just go through it. I don't really go for the switches and such. Whereas games like Amazing Mirror, I do everything I can aside from getting all the chests, because Amazing Mirror is probably still my favorite Kirby game. Which is at times a very uncommon opinion. Pitch Spark rather, is really interesting because you're basically using him as an RC car. The biggest problem with it is you're very immobile. And that can be quite an issue in areas like this where there's a lot of enemies. This actually, looking at the level design right now though, something that Dreamland 3 does that's kind of weird in comparison to 1 and 2 at least, is that it feels like there's a lot more narrow sequences like that, where you don't really have an opportunity to really use your flight ability to the obscene methods you used to be able to. And honestly, I'm fine with that, but it just feels weird. Also, these caveman enemies, I think this is the first time we've run into them. They are a bit odd in that they technically have 2 hit points. Most of the time when you hit them, they will survive and try to jump back up. And I believe they can also knock back certain things you shoot at them. I think it's mostly just the stars, or at least the standard stars, because I think I've shown it off briefly in this LP at some point. Dreamland 3 was, I believe, the first game to do the thing where if you have multiple things in your mouth and shoot them out, you get a bigger star that's fired out. I believe there's 3 levels, 1, 2, and like 4, but I'm not also entirely sure about that. It just feels like there's 3. It might just be 2, and I'm just imagining things, which it has admittedly happened before. Though I gotta say, I love that background. Again, Dreamland 3, very graphically impressive game for the Super Nintendo. I just wish it did a bit more interesting things with itself along the way. And that's the first level. Yeah, there's nothing really to say about it other than the fact that the mission's kind of confusing at first because you might think you have to destroy the mushrooms, not the pretty flowers based on prior experience. Unless you're paying attention to the little portrait there at the bottom, of course. Oh, hi, Gourmet Race. Probably one of my least favorite versions of Gourmet Race, admittedly. Even though technically speaking, this wasn't... no. Superstar was out by this point. Yeah, this is Gourmet Race by now. That does actually get into one of my bigger issues with Dreamland 3's soundtrack, is that while it's a good soundtrack on its own, I think most of the remixes in it are fairly subpar. Like, obviously, Gourmet Race is a fantastic melody no matter what, but it feels like that without that powerful horn, it just doesn't have the same effect, you know? Feels too soft. Which, admittedly, is an issue I have with one of the Smash interpretations of the song as well, but I forget which one it is. I play around with the thought of bringing Broom Coo along with me for the rest of the stage, but I decide on Broom Choo Choo because it's a lot more mobility-based for a more narrow stage like this. Though that does remind me, I forgot to mention we got the Broom ability in this level. But keep Broom with you because you need it in the last third or so of the stage in order to get the Heart Star. I actually forget if Broom Choo Choo can actually damage enemies. I think the sparkles that it drops can damage enemies, but I forget. Part of that is just, again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the part, it's been a while since I recorded a part of this. And even longer since I recorded the footage. In fact, you know what? Let me take a look at the file. Let's see. I labeled this KDL3, I believe. Yes, I did. This footage was recorded September 22nd. It's currently October 29th. It's almost exactly been a month. No, actually, no, it's been over a month. Yeah, things happen. Admittedly, I mentioned earlier that it's mostly been due to homework that I haven't been able to record recently, but it's also been due to video games. Like Metroid Samus Returns, which is really goddamn good. Play it if you're a Metroid fan. Mario Odyssey came out, and I beat that last night. I'm working on 100%, even though I know it's probably not going to be worth it in the long run, because let's face it, the only game we're getting 100%, or at least 3D Mario game it's worth getting 100% in is the first Galaxy, due to Luigi. Though I guess... No, I think it was pretty worth it in 3D World because that game was nicely designed. You didn't get much for it, but it felt more worth it as, like, a challenge. Either way, this is where we need to get Broom for, because in these doors, well, we're gonna get a hint towards our thing. This person's scrubbing the floor. Notice how there's nothing on the floor here, it's completely pristine. In the next few rooms, there are going to be black splotches on these floors. We need to clean that up with the Broom ability. I just like that animation, by the way. And there's the black splotches. Thankfully, both the hitbox of the Broom is both the animation, and I think the little dust cloud in front of it on its earliest frames might be able to hit the black splotches, so it's not as precise as some people would think it is. At least I think. It might just be the fact that the Broom's hitbox actually extends a bit behind Kirby. You know what? That actually might be it, and that actually might be it, actually. Ah! I see that month off has not improved my grammaticals at all. Let me tell you, though, this semester... I should probably be saving this for an update video, but I'll mention it there again as well, probably when I actually start uploading, because I was supposed to start uploading in early October again. Has been kicking my ass, mostly just due to my mythology class having a shitload of writing. For instance, I think I've written actually 30 pages, not counting works cited and printing out the sources. And it's getting longer. Thankfully, I enjoy what I'm writing about, because mythology is such an interesting topic. Yeah, see what I mean? I mentioned it earlier this part, but look how narrow this game's design can get sometimes. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I appreciate a different level design mentality than just having open air all the time in the other Kirby games that we've seen so far. Because admittedly, being able to fly over that doesn't make it as interesting. However, having just narrow passageways like this can make it very slow feeling, you know? So in this game, they didn't quite reach that balance. Admittedly, neither of the first two games either. I think the only game that really hit, the first game to really hit that good mix of open-ended, or at least more open versus narrow, was either Adventure / Nightmare in Dreamland, and parts of Superstar. Some parts, not so much. I'll get to Superstar at some points. Oh boy. Now looking forward to Great Cave Offensive. It's a good mode, but going for 100% in it is annoying. Though, considering the fact that I did Mega Man ZX, you can probably tell I'm not going to be doing the original Superstar anymore. I'm going to be doing Ultra. And I have better memories of that, plus Meta Nightmare is fun. One of the biggest issues with the Sand Canyon, I think I called it Sand Kingdom earlier, it's Sand Canyon is the name of the world, is that the sand itself slows you down a pretty good amount. So running through these stages can be kind of annoying. Either way, there is our second heart star for the world. And now we're on to level 3, which one is level 3 again? Wait, it's the third level, minigame time. I forget which minigame this is, actually. I guess I'll figure it out when I get there. Also, look how good the Stonehenge looks in the background. This game is so impressive. The Super Nintendo could really make some impressive looking stuff, especially towards the latter end of its life cycle. Like, I am very impressed with Capcom for being able to put most of the graphics from Mega Man Mega Man 8 into Mega Man and Base. I do wish they had made at least 7 unique Robot Masters instead of 6, but yeah, I'm fine with Astro Man being there. Tango Man, not so much. Mind you, part of that is just because I think Tango Man's level in Mega Man and Base is awful. Mostly due to my experiences with the Game Boy Advance version. Super Nintendo is admittedly a bit cleaner with that due to the, lack of screen crunch. Screw that game as Mega Man still, though. I might get to playing it as Mega Man eventually, but not anytime soon. This is around the point in the game where these stone barriers actually start getting fairly annoying because they become more prevalent enough to the point where there's generally a few in the row. And I always have issues with judging the speed of these things. Or my own speed, as you can tell with things like that. Because it's not like the spiky pillars in some of the castles in Mario World where they go, come back up, wait a bit, have their tail, and then go again. The moment these things reach their peak of their height, or in the case of the ones that sink back and forth, disappear, they start reappearing immediately. If there was more of a tell when they were going to move, I guess that would be better in my eyes, but at the same time, admittedly being able to know that they go immediately when they reach their peak is a tell in of itself. I'm still trying to remember which minigame this stage is. Also, I love the way the lava looks in this game, mind you. Fire levels have always been a favorite of mine. As have ice levels, depending on which one it is, because some ice levels are great, some not so much. Okay, it's this one. That egg blows a bubble and causes the faces of the Gordos to open up. You have to count how many there are. The first round isn't too bad, but rounds 2 and 3, the faces open and close so quickly, it's, a little bit dangerous. Plus, there's more than one face type. I suppose part of the fact that I don't like these minigames is due to the fact that it's not memorization, it's not skill, it's entirely up to luck what happens in them. And admittedly, there is a place for luck-based minigames. Stuff like slots or half the Mario Party minigames, for God's sakes. But in this game's case, I don't think it works that well. Now, I'm trying to remember, I just stuck in 2 enemies right there. I forget what game introduced the concept of if you have multiple enemies in your mouth, you start the roulette. I think that was Superstar. Or was it Adventure? I forget. Either way, one thing I can never remember with the roulette in the other Kirby games is if you have 2 enemies of the same type in your mouth, if it'll still trigger it. I don't think it would have there. Mind you, I could probably ask Scott, and he'd be like, oh yeah, it was so-and-so, because he loves Kirby so much, and I need to catch up on Kirby games, admittedly. I still haven't played Triple Deluxe, Robobop, or even Return to Dreamland, for that matter. Mostly just due to expenses and me focusing on other games whenever I'm at a GameStop. Like when I bought Mario Odyssey, I could have bought something on the DS I've been looking for, but instead I got an indie box thing for Jotun, or Jotun, I forget exactly how it's pronounced, that Norse mythology-based game that looks gorgeous. Either way, that's the heart star for level 3. Level 3, admittedly, is probably the best of the 3 that we've played so far in this world, because it doesn't drone on too long in comparison, or at least it doesn't feel like it does. And I can always appreciate some good-looking fire effects. Now it's time for the annoying stage, if I recall. Because let's see. No, actually, no, this is the 4th level. This is a rescue stage, isn't it? We do need to keep... no, actually, no, we don't need to keep any ability with us. We just need to progress through the stage till a certain point. Detail I do like with this world, and other worlds may have done it too, and I just haven't been paying attention to it. But the backgrounds slowly get more and more added to them the farther you go in. Like originally we had a desert, then we had a desert with Stonehenge. Now we have a desert with Stonehenge at sunset, which is just gorgeous looking. Again, I know I said I would gush about the way this game looks over and over and over, but this game is so gorgeous. Also, Togo is once again one of the coolest companions in the series. Though his ice ability is odd, it doesn't help that your hitbox is also much bigger than you'd think. And admittedly, part of me getting hit so much here is because I keep forgetting these cactus guys are here. Part of me wonders, though, seeing myself fly all over the place like this, if we'll ever get another Kirby game where your flight is limited like it was in Kirby 64. Because while that was annoying on some points of level design, it also made for more interesting puzzles and level design at the same time. It's hard to explain in my eyes, but it felt right when 64 made the flight limited for the stages it had. Same time, though, it was also kind of annoying because some of those stages were annoying to backtrack through. Looking at you, post-apocalyptic Earth world. Yeah. Though, admittedly, getting Darth Kirby in those stages was always really cool. Either way, in the next room, we're actually coming up on the start of the Heart Star mission for this level. And it's possibly, at least the first part of it, is one of the most trial and error and luck-ridden areas in terms of your first playthrough. Because in order to find the door towards where the mini-boss is to rescue the person for this stage, we need to go through the bottom path, the top path, and the middle path in that order. That is a total of, I want to say, 7 paths. There might be 8, I forget exactly. But this can be kind of annoying to do on your first playthrough unless you're just lucky. This is also one of the places that took me the longest to find on my first playthrough, if I recall. You know what would help this a little bit, though? If it wasn't an auto-scroller. Obviously, if it wasn't an auto-scroller, the whole challenge of finding the door would not be there. But I mean more in terms of the speed of the area. I don't mind auto-scrollers in the long run of things, but I need them to scroll at a good pace, like some of the Mario ones do. Kirby ones always feel a bit too slow. Either way, we need to fight the Broom mini-boss. I forget if we actually need to get the ability from him, though. I don't think we do. Either way, the Broom mini-boss as basically the easiest mini-boss in the game. Because unlike some of the other ones, it can't really do much against you in terms of attacks. I think it just has running into you and that and a sweep attack, I think. And a jump attack, that's right. That's pretty pathetic. I'll take Broom, though, because I don't mind the ability that much. And there's a rather NES-looking kid. Oh, hey, a 1-up. Compared to other Kirby games, admittedly, extra lives are kind of scarce in this game in terms of amounts. It helps, though, that I'm pretty constantly at between 0 and 2 lives due to the fact that in between most recordings, I believe I just reset the game for the sake of having to fade into the world. Because basically, every single world was its own recording session, in most cases, I believe. Ah, Spike. I don't like Spike very much in this game. Mind you, Kirby power-ups are odd to me because I prefer to be able to use the ones that allow me to move while I use them. It's why I like Fighter so much. The blue... I forget, what's the name of the blue fighter ability? It's been a while. I think it's Throw. And Sword, because I can move and attack at the same time, which is always something I love in platformers. Possibly due to Mega Man, but it always just feels more right to me than being stuck in place. Also, again, I love the background. Oh my god. Ah. It's not often you hear me gush about graphics, admittedly, and when you do, it's usually either because it's something like Uncharted 4, where it's absolutely gorgeous, or something with a really defined art style, like good sprite work, or something good in 2D, like Dust and Elysian Tale. I love the way that game looks, even though the character designs are a bit bland to me. Either way, with that tangent, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 4, we're going to be finishing off Sand Canyon and heading into World 4. See you guys then.